Welcome to another video. I figured it was time for me to update my Bitcoin analysis. This is something that I do from time to time when it merits, actually the chart merits some additional analysis. Now first up, what I'll share is I actually do keep an updated Bitcoin analysis. If you go over to my website, it's linked down below, you'll see the BTC tab, and then here it says Bitcoin 2023 updated TA analysis. This is my latest thinking on Bitcoin. I updated here. If whatever's here is the latest way that I'm trading Bitcoin or my latest assessment of what Bitcoin is doing. So I do keep this updated. The other thing I would highly suggest that you check out is I've created a deep Bitcoin analysis. We're in the midst of the third crisis. I predicted it way back when it was at kind of near the all-time high. This breaks down in a series of videos and a free downloadable report that has the data analysis in there and my thinking of what is going to be the outcome of the third Bitcoin analysis. I should really change this to the current third crisis. The other thing, if you do watch my videos and you haven't joined my training, to get started, all you have to do is click here and then fill this out, and I'll share with you how to get started with the training. So let's jump in. Now for members, you know that you have access to this chart, and I know it's a really busy chart, but this is our deep Bitcoin analysis chart going all the way back to about 2010. And you can see over here, it has various things that we can turn on and off. So for instance, we can turn off the VWAPs. We're going to be talking about that here in a little bit. The things that I have added here to the chart is the two important things that, the two important lows and highs that we need to be focused on right now. We are looking at the 4-day chart. And the 4-day has had a challenge, as we see here with the yellow line, of recapturing the RDA. I did think that it maybe would based on 4-hour 240 structure that was building, but that has obviously broke down. Once again, we should trust the system and trade the system. There is a little bit of intention there. So the new levels that we've added is the February 2023 high, and then we've also added the November 2022 low. That's not exactly accurate, and it should be a little bit more accurate there. I will update it. Once again, if you're members, I've shared this chart, so you have the ability to actually access this chart. It'll have all the drawings on here and everything else. Let's turn on the VWAPs. So basically, these are anchored VWAPs from prominent highs and prominent lows. If we do this analysis first, what we'll see is that it's just recently captured one of the recent lows. So the green are the lows. It just recently captured one of the green VWAPs. It's probably going to do a test there. And the current chart in the 4-day, at least, is in a bias short, momentum long environment. We've just had a switch over. So the way I would suggest you trade this right now, at least with what our system says, is that while we know the upside RDA is the reaction area, and it's failed to actually close above that. But this is the way to look at this is either the third or fourth test, could be the fifth test as well if we read this another way. Things typically break on a 3, 5, or 7 test. So there is a possibility or probability that it will break here if this low holds, especially if the momentum holds. So that's a big thing. So that's something that we're watching as members is the momentum holding? Is it holding momentum long? We've got various levels here. The first level, just on a standard support and resistance, if I add an additional line here, would be right here, right around 21,100, 20,000, aligns with the momentum indicator. If price gets down there, it's below these lows as well. On a standard support and resistance, just, Trader 101, you would expect a reaction there, and you would expect at least some reaction to the upside and it holding up. Now, so far today, or right now, I'm shooting this video or recording this video a little early because it's Sunday, and I should really be waiting for this week's close to kind of see where this week close happens. But we've got enough information that the number one thing that can happen is if it impulses here the rest of the day. And let's go to the 1-hour chart. And we don't typically do that in these videos, but we'll just share. What is it trying to do right now? This is actually maybe a good futures trade. It just recaptured the RDA on the 1 hour. This is almost a trade that I should be entering right now, so I'll probably go over to the futures market and enter this trade as I look at this. We do have the daily RDA right here, or the daily momentum indicator, sorry, right here, that it's probably going to react. We do have this alpha candle over here, but we have the weekly. It's going to try before the end of the day to recapture the weekly open. That's what it's going for. So to me, this is an opportunity here to drop down to a lower time frame, the 5-minute, look at our 4-chart setup, and probably do a long trade with the possibility that it's going to try to take out the weekly open before the close at the end of the day. So that's well within the range of 5 or 6 hour candles. It's well within the range of how Bitcoin typically moves. So that's what it's trying to do, and it has recaptured momentum and bias on the 60-minute. So there's a trade right there. I'll share this with the group as soon as I get done. Actually, I'll pause the video and share it right now. All right, there we go. I just shared it with in the BTC crypto. So if you're not a member of Discord, what you'll want to do is down below. I just shared this trade. Very obvious level, very obvious what it's doing. If you're not a member of Discord, join Discord. And I share various setups. I'm starting to trade crypto and futures more now. Got out of it a little bit, but we're getting back into, now that I'm teaching my nephew to trade, be teaching him to trade crypto as well. So let's look at the longer term analysis, because that's really what this video is about. Obviously, if it recaptures the weekly open and it stays above the weekly open, that would be a good thing for it to continue and maybe go and taking out the RDA. So in that scenario, if that does, it has a lot of work to do here for this previous day candle. But if it does that in this scenario, that would be positive for the continue moved up. We do see that the weekly has continued to stair step up. We do see some structure building. It's very obvious level here that it would have to first get above. The first level that we would watch for is very obvious. It's right here, aligning with an anchored VWAP, right around 24,500, right around there. Recaptures that, retests that, then it's probably going to go to 30K. It's the way I would look at it. It has to obviously recapture the RDA, but it has a lot of work to do. One of the things I want to really highlight here is that every one of these lines that you see here are anchored VWAPs from a significant high or significant low. That's a lot of work to 35,000. I would expect if it does get to 35,000 and above, that there's going to be a massive sell-off up there. And then we're going to see some volatility hit the market. So if Bitcoin does in the next couple weeks, just rip through all these, I would expect in this zone here, maybe this breakdown candle here, if it does get that high, that would be I would be looking for exhaustive volume up there, and I would be looking to short and sell some of the holdings for a potential 20 to 30% pullback. That's what I would be expecting if that does transpire. Obviously, it's got to take out this level over here. This is obvious. This is day one or week one trader. When I say week one trader, basically it's so obvious on the chart that someone just learning to trade in the first week would be able to see that clearly it has to take out this level at 30,000. It's just so obvious. You don't really have to know deep technical analysis to see that. That's obvious. This is also an inflection area. So one of the things is this is an inflection area down. If you've been through my training, I have quite a bit of training on inflection areas and why they're important. I know other people call these areas something different. I call them inflection areas because basically it impulses down and then it continues after an inflection. But this is a very important zone that if it captures, that means something. If it comes up here, you would expect a failure, at least the first test. So that's something to watch. If it gets into this zone, this whole zone here, I will be watching on a lower time frame when it gets there for massive failures. And we're well within the one thing we're not, I know there's a lot of people on Twitter and everything else celebrating this move, but they shouldn't celebrate until we get to above 40,000 because we're well within the standard 2 or 3 day DV or pullback that you can see happens in Bitcoin time and time again. So if we just do a 30 to 40% pullback, that puts us right around 14,000. A 40% pullback. That's well within a 2-week move of Bitcoin, even less than that. That's well within. So we can even just go to the chart here and we can just see the recent pullback here. This one here was, well, it's probably about 30%. This one here was about, well, the total from the low was 40%. But where it stopped and had this kind of little range here, this inflection area was 30%. This pullback here, this is right around the same thing, 35 to 40%. So Bitcoin is not out of the woods. Yeah, this structure and momentum is good, but it's still well within a 40% pullback of testing the December 2017 close, which is a really important close. It's the first mass awareness all-time close. I'm waiting for a test of that. So I still have expectations it's going to test this. And then in that document that I share with the third crisis, I share how I think it's going to be virtually impossible for some people to onboard to Bitcoin. You might be able to buy it as far as a CFD wise, but you're not going to be able to pull it to an external wallet. I think that's what's going to be the next run up. That's my thesis on this. So let me leave you with this. On the downside level, obviously the levels are obvious. The downside level is right around 20,000 right here. That's the level to watch. The upside level is really obvious. It's right around 24.5. Those are the only two levels that matter. So if it recaptures 24.5, it's going to go to 30K, the way I look at it. If it loses this level, then it's watching momentum on a daily chart. And then it's really looking at the daily chart and the 240 and seeing what the 240 is telling you, seeing what the 60 minutes telling you, and really trading that. Now, this 240 actually looks pretty decent. It looks pretty decent for structure as far as building structure, but this has to close strong. It has to, if it does come up to this level and reject, you'd like to see it. You can see there's a higher level being built here, right around the momentum indicators. It has recaptured the RDA. So really, if you look at the 4 hour, the line in the sand for the 4 hour is right here. The line in the sand for the 4 hour is right around 20,075. If it loses that and it rolls over, it's going lower. That's the way I look at it. If it loses this RDA, it's going to take out this weekly open. And then it's got another weekly open here to take out. And then the next weekly open is way down here, right around 17,000. So if it loses the RDA on the 4 hour, it's going to roll over. And you might see a move like this where it rolled over. See here where it lost the RDA right here. And then it rolled over. What was that pullback amount? That pullback amount when it rolled over here was roughly, why is it not clicking the button? It was roughly 25%. So if it rolls over, you know, we could see a rollover. If it loses the RDA there, it would lose the RDA up here. It would, because this, if it continues up, it's going to lose it up here. So then it's back here. It's back to like 18,000 with just this recent pullback here. Now, ultimately, that pullback actually found a range, found a value range, and it recaptured the RDA right here on 11 January 23. But and I'm sorry, we're looking at the daily. So I'm sorry, I was thinking 4 hour. So on the daily, so I just mixed up my time frame. So I do apologize. But on the daily, you know, these 4 days here, this pullback here, if it does lose the RDA like it did here and rolls over, well, we're looking at a 20 to 30% pullback. 20 or 30%, where that RDA would maybe be projected to be at is right around here. If it rolls over there and uses this level to roll over on, well, we could use that level, I suppose, if we want to. Could use this level if it rolls over on. We're looking at potentially about an 18,000 pullback. Now, structurally wise on the daily, if it does pull back there and it does a similar thing like it did here, so look at this range here. This range here lasted for roughly 63 days. So it could very well do that as well. It could very well use this daily range here, fail here, which is going to align with the 4-day RDA, fail at the 4-day RDA, pull back roughly, I don't know, 20, 30%, and then create another value range for roughly 40 days. That's one way you could look at this, what might transpire. So that is a scenario that I'm watching for as well. I mean, the daily chart just is obvious with that scenario. So it's a very obvious scenario. It fits our trading model that we trade at the RexDog system. So that trading model is we could see that pullback. Would we be buying there? It depends. It really depends. Because for that to happen, the daily would be losing momentum. And I'm not just going to buy because it's a pullback there. Because if it's a pullback there, what I'm going to be looking for is it going to recapture momentum? Is it going to recapture the RDA? And why would I buy here when it might do another 20% pullback back to 13, 14? And then if it does that, you better figure out how you're going to onboard to Bitcoin. Meaning that you better have multiple exchanges that if you want to buy Bitcoin at that price, don't trust any limit orders. Don't trust any exchange you haven't tested, and don't trust any exchange that the average person is on, because I believe the only people that are going to be able to onboard to Bitcoin will be large capital buyers, what is called accredited investors. I believe that Bitcoin, at least from my perspective, look, you can read the report, why I believe it. I think the next run up, they're going to make Bitcoin a big person's club. It used to be called the Big Boys Club, but we call it the Big Person's Club. So I believe that the next run up, they're going to make Bitcoin a big person's club. And the way they're going to do that is that it's going to be almost near impossible for you to, at a certain time, after it does series of impulses, it will die. It will go to a range, and then you'll be able to transact. But I believe there will be a certain moment in time when you will not be able to offboard Bitcoin to an external wallet unless you're with a few exchanges. That's my belief. So call me a conspiracy theorist. I fit right in with the crypto crowd. So if I'm a conspiracy theorist, but that's my belief. That's what I'm prepared for. That's what I'm preparing for if it does get to that level. All right. Once again, if you watched to the end, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. Join me on Discord if you're not already on Discord. If you do want one of the best trading systems on the planet, you want to definitely send me a DM on Discord and ask how to get started with the training. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.